This is going to be a long story. Let's have a seat. Oh man, so how did I find out I had celiac disease? Wonderful question. I truly don't even know where to begin, but I believe it all stems back to when I was 17 years old and I got mono. Because up until then, I was what I would think was normal, except for I had a lot of symptoms that were indicative of a dairy allergy that I didn't realize I had like my whole life until I was going through the testing process to see what was wrong with me. I found out I had a dairy allergy and then of course celiac disease. So after having mono, I just like never felt the same anymore. I was more tired than usual. I felt like my energy level used to be here and it like was here, stuff like that. A few months after I had mono, I had some really weird like issues happen where I felt like faint or I felt like I couldn't see, or like I had some instances where I was like dropping things randomly. My brain, or like I feel like I would go like sometimes like this and I would like shake for like just a couple seconds, and like I felt like my whole brain was like zapping itself, and it was just the weirdest feeling ever. I didn't have that consistently. It was just kind of randomly and sporadic for about a year between being like 17 and 18. Then once I turned 18, this was like a year after I had mono, and I started having a lot of issues with food. Like everything I ate was hurting my stomach. I was having a lot of gastrointestinal upset, starting to have a lot of joint pain. Now I was dancing at the time. I danced my whole life competitively, and then I was dancing professionally and traveling doing that. And it was becoming hard for me to do that. I was also, in college. I just recently graduated high school, so I was going to school. I was also working a part-time retail job, and I was dancing. So I was on my feet and I was very active. And I was thinking that maybe just because I'm so active, I've been so active, like my joints were just like catching up with me. Mind you, I'm 18 years old at this point, so I'm still very young. But yeah, I was having a ton of joint pain, a ton of issues with that. And then I was starting to get physical pain in my body just everywhere, aside, like along with the stomach pain. I was getting a lot of headaches. Like after I had mono, I would get chronic migraines often. And I was on like migraine medication for them, and it helped a little bit, but it never truly like really resolved them. Going gluten-free after being diagnosed with celiac disease is the only thing that truly resolved my migraine problem. So fast forward to one night, I had school, I think in the morning, and then I worked in the afternoon, and then I had rehearsal for a performance that evening. So a very busy, jam-packed day. And I was used to being busy. I was used to having something going on every single day. So it wasn't weird for me to have a busy day like that. I came home from my dance rehearsal. It was like 9-10 p.m. and I collapsed to the floor. Like I remember I was living at home at the time with my parents. I remember going in the living room trying to talk to my mom and just like dropping to the floor and crying because my body was in so much pain. I had no energy to stand on my own 2 feet anymore. I was trying to like push to the side that I was having issues and not feeling well every day. I was trying to like act like I didn't have pain, act like I wasn't tired, and just ignore it. And I'm like, if I ignore it, it'll go away, right? Wrong. So I finally started coming to terms with the fact that I was suffering, and I was crying to my mom, and my mom was just like, yeah, something is wrong with you. Like we need to figure it out. Like we're going to do what we can to figure out what's going on and get you feeling better. And so it was at that moment that like I called the doctor the next day and I made an appointment, and I saw them that week. They tested me for everything. So my GP actually thought I had diabetes based on some of my symptoms, and I was having tingling in my lips and my feet, and I was feeling lightheaded. And I also, during this time, I don't think I mentioned, lost 30 pounds within a few months, which is a lot of weight. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I kept my same activity level, my same amount of intake of food. I've mentioned it before here in other videos. And so that was like a sign, I guess, of diabetes, or it could be. And so my doctor ran tests for diabetes. I did not have it. So we started exploring other things that could be wrong with me. I got sent to like every specialist under the sun, and I saw multiple different specialists, multiple different hematologists, gastroenterologists, rheumatologists, neurologists, all of the things. And, a lot of them were just dismissive of my symptoms. Like some of them just saw me and said, oh, you're young and you're thin, like you're fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine. I'm here seeing you. I'm clearly not fine. I'm like a young girl. At this point, I might have been 19. But I'm like, I'm a young girl. Like all my friends are out hanging out in the summer, and I'm like sitting here in this office because I have no energy and I feel like I'm dying. Help me. So that was hard. The medical gaslighting was 1,000% real. And I know so many of us in the chronic illness space feel it. Sadly and unfortunately, women the most have experienced this, and it's really unfortunate and it's really broken. So fast forward to seeing, I swear to God, 50 different specialists, finally getting someone to listen to me. I was tested for every autoimmune disease that you could think of, multiple different types of cancers. They thought I had like lymphoma. They thought I could have had like a stomach type of a cancer. I had MRIs and brain scans because I said my head doesn't feel like it's connected to my body. I feel like I can't function. I'm having random spasms in my extremities. Like I need help. They thought I had a brain tumor. Nope, didn't have a brain tumor. We scanned my head and I had nothing in there. And it felt like I had nothing in there too. And so finally I was on my third or fourth gastroenterologist. And at this point I was fed up. So was my mom and dad. They were like, we need to figure out what's going on with our daughter because like there's something wrong with her and she's not doing well and this is terrible. I looked like a skeleton. I was not well. I was very pale. I was starting to become anemic. I was just not in a good place. Mentally, my mental health was so bad. I was starting to get depressed. I was really anxious all the time. I was scared to eat food because everything I ate hurt me. I was scared to leave the house because I had no energy and I didn't want to go out with my friends and then halfway through have to be like, I have to leave because I literally can't keep my eyes open and my body hurts. So I was doing a ton of my own research to try to figure out what was wrong with me. And by process of elimination being like, all right, I tested for this, it was negative, blah, 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 I came across celiac disease. And upon like looking into celiac disease a little bit and, you know, thinking about my own symptoms, my own experience, I was like, I think this is what's wrong with me. Because at that point, any of the other autoimmune diseases or health conditions that related to a lot of the symptoms that overlap, I was already tested for. It was actually good timing. I was about a week or two away from seeing the next gastroenterologist and the last one that I ended up seeing that was able to diagnose me. And I went into that appointment and I was like, listen, obviously here you have all my records. You can see everything I've been tested for and all the documentation right there. I think I have celiac disease based on my symptoms. I'd like to be tested for it. And he sat there for, I swear to God, 10 minutes reading through every test and everything. And he was just like, wow, like flipping the pages. Cause this was back when like they still printed things out. It wasn't all on the computer. Like it was, but it wasn't. This was back in 2016, which doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but like technology changes so rapidly. And so then he was like, yeah, you know, I'm going to order you the blood test. And then I'm also going to schedule you for the endoscopy just so we can get that done too, since the endoscopy is the gold standard, regardless of blood test results. So needless to say, we did all that and found out I had celiac disease. And honestly, that was a really emotional moment for me to find out I had it. I was very, very angry and upset when I first got diagnosed, but I was also very happy and relieved because I finally had an answer for what was making me struggle for so long. The entire process, honestly, from start to finish of starting to see doctors to try to get tested for what was going on with me took about 18 months, but I struggled for 3 years. And that was the 3 years since getting mono and then like finally getting diagnosed. I got mono in February of 2013 and got diagnosed with celiac disease in March of 2016. And then shortly after that, I decided to start my blog here, Chronically Gluten-Free, to spread awareness and information about celiac disease because so many people don't know what it is or it's misunderstood. It's just so much more than just having to eat gluten-free, and a lot of people don't realize it. And it's definitely not their fault. There's just not a lot of information out there. And yeah, that's my very long story of how I found out I had celiac disease.